The Powers Project.
Hello, everyone. My guest today is one of the hottest gay porn stars in the world today. I had a really great time with him and his beagle Rhett, who makes a cameo appearance. But I must give you a warning first. So, in big red letters, I want you to envision the word warning because this episode contains explicit language and graphic sexual references and is not appropriate for all audiences, particularly if you're straight, probably, and male. Doesn't mean you can't listen, just saying you might not like it. So, this is likely as open and candid a conversation about gay sex, the porn industry, and life as gay men as you'll probably ever hear. As I said in my very first episode, this is not your parents' podcast, and this episode proves that. So if you're still here, then buckle up because it's going to be a bumpy ride, and we all know that bumpy rides are always the most fun. Now please welcome the wonderful, amazing, and sexy as hell, Grayson Lange.
Grayson, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. You're looking good with your blonde do there. That's something new.
It is. It's I got bored and I had the stuff to do it, so I was like, fuck it. I'm going blonde now.
Yeah, I had blonde locks like you, and I decided to shave it all.
I went with the cliched gay thing, where over a good majority of us go blonde for the summer.
Yeah, well, it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah, I tried.
I've always loved that look. Seriously, even with like Britney Spears, I always loved Britney Spears. Mm-hmm. You could see her dark roots and the blonde hair, and I don't know why that's such a turn on to me, but it always has been.
I always get that, and I hate it. Like, everybody's like, oh, you look good like that. And I'm like, I want it all blonde or it's going to be all brown. When the roots start showing, I'm like, that doesn't look so cute.
I don't know. It's always been a thing for me. I mean, I don't know why, like I said, but it looks good. So
Thank you.
Have you seen it with it longer or?
I have, and let me tell you, I did that when I was working with Helix. I was like 18, 19, 20. I don't remember. My ex probably does, because like he's the one that was like, you need to change that back. And I'm like, I know you're right, but I don't want to admit it. So I was trying to do that gray thing, but it would just go from gray to platinum. I was doing the gray trend was happening, and it just that silver, and right. it didn't work out. So I had like my long, if you do know who I am, then you know, like I had the Bieber bangs, I had like the long ass hair, and it just wasn't cute. It didn't fit my facial frame. But when I did it and I cut it short, it looked a hell of a lot better.
Right.
So I went with it and I rocked it.
Yeah, you know who pulls the Bieber bang off really well? Take one guess. Who's probably more like Bieber than anybody?
I'm trying to think of all the people I would know.
You've never done a scene with him. I know that.
Cooper Steele?
No. It's a twink.
Cooper is a twink.
Oh, I don't know how I'm going with that.
Was he at Helix?
No, he wasn't.
No. Okay. Oh, fuck. I don't know then. If it's a twink and they hadn't worked at Helix, it's like the only real twink studio I worked for, other than 18 Boy, of course, and
some of his. I don't know if he worked for 18 Boy.
Summer Strokes.
You can find some of his stuff on 18 Boy. You know who Kyler Moss is?
I've heard the name. I've never met him.
Right. Yeah.
And I honestly, I don't watch much porn. I'm more of a Tumblr amateur kind of guy. Yeah. But yes, I have heard the name. I don't really know what he looks like though.
He's a cute twink.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
He looked a lot like Bieber, and then he darkened his hair. And I happen to actually like dark hair. That's one of the things I find attractive about you. I mean, you look great with the blonde hair too. But I tend to like guys who have dark hair. So I mean, when he darkened his, because he did this sort of brownish blonde type hairdo that were looked like beavers, and then I guess he got out of that stage and darkened it and did sort of an emo stage. So,
I know a few of those.
but he looked good no matter what the hell he did. Um, so let me start by asking you some questions. I think I can use the guise of your fans would want to ask when I actually want to know myself. But truly, I know a lot of guys out there, younger guys, who want to get into porn, and and I don't know why they've ever talked to me. It's not like maybe because they knew I watched a lot of it, I would know, but I don't. And they would say, "Well, how do I get into porn?" I go, I don't know. I guess contact the studios and see, ask them.
So there are actually 3 ways to get into porn.
Okay.
Getting scouted, which was actually how I first started. But I thought it was fake. Thank you, Mr. Ford, who was our photographer at Helix. Then you have applying yourself on their website. Every porn studio has a way. Even Gay Hoopla, like they'll put in their videos on like Pornhub and stuff. Like, think you're hot enough, send an email to this email with like some pictures, whatever. Or getting an agent, which is actually how I first started, which was Fab Scout. And so, thanks, Howard. But yeah, no. So like, those are your 3 ways of getting into porn: an agent, applying, or getting scouted.
So how do you find an agent for porn?
I honestly asked Brandon Wild because I was on a movie set with him. We were both doing a gay indie film. And I asked him because I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do porn. Like, that sounds like fun as fuck. So I'm like, I'm 18. I'm a horny guy. Like, those hormones be running through me. So I asked him, and he's like, well, I'll hook you up with this person. Sent me to Howard at Fab Scout. I worked with Matt at the time. I don't know if he's still there or not. I haven't had any contact with him in a long time. But yeah, no, they got me with Helix, and that's where Grayson came from.
I love Helix. Honestly, it's one of my.
Oh, they're a great studio to work with. I mean, honestly, almost all the studios I've ever worked for, I've loved. Like Cocky Boys Next Door, Helix, like you name it. The majority of them. There's only really one I don't like, and I won't talk on that subject.
Okay, all right, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point when you turned 18, you decided, like, you thought, oh, I'd love to do porn, and so you inquired about it, and that's so it's not something you wanted to do.
I mean, it's not every day you get to be somewhere with a porn star and get to ask them, especially when you're like young enough, attractive enough to get into it. How did you get into it? How can I get into this? So when I had that opportunity, I took full advantage of it. I saw the shot and I took it.
And is it what you thought it would be? Like, I know that because I think a lot of people who've never done porn, they want to do porn, they have this image in their head of what they think it is. What did you find it to be contrary to?
I found it out to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be like, wham, bam, shabam, let's fuck real quick and go. No, it takes so much longer. It is so much work to do it. Let me tell you that right now. It is so much work.
Is it?
Like, you are not expecting it to be this much work. But no, because you have to make sure you have like the angles, the lighting. You have to, like, it's so much because like you have to do the pictures. You have to, which typically you do pictures first and then you go into the actual scene. Because like in the scene you're coming, in the pictures you're not coming yet. So like it's a lot of work, and it's quite a long time on that set, dealing with the heat from the lights and trying to make sure everything's cohesive. Can they see that penetration shot? Can they see the entering, and like, do they have a good thing of it? Are they ready? Like at the end of it, like you don't want to miss the moneymaker shot. So are they able to get it? Because I was on one where there is no cum shot.
Oh, really?
I mean, hell, my very first scene, not many people have ever actually commented on this, but I didn't come. The very first scene I filmed, I was so nervous because it's so different having sex in front of people, in front of a camera. than what I was used to, because I was used to, like, I never had a threesome. Like, I had my first threesome at Helix.
Really?
Yeah, I had my first threesome there. I had never done that before.
Who was it with?
I want to say it was Casey and Blake, but it could have been Evan and Cody. Honestly, it was so long ago now, and I've had so many I don't remember. It was either Casey Tanner and Blake Mitchell, or Evan Parker and Cody Knight. Cody, both of which have retired from porn. Casey might have. I haven't kept up with them. Obviously, Blake Mitchell has not.
So let me ask you this: if you know, when you have people who retire from porn like these guys, is it because they just don't want to do it anymore? Is it because they decide to move on in something else in their life, or?
Honestly, I don't know. I've never actually asked them about it. Hell, I saw Cody 4th of July, but we didn't even talk about porn. We just talked about, like, what's happened, what's new, how are you doing, what's new with your life. You're in Texas now, which is where I'm from and I live. And he is stationed here. So it's definitely different. Like, I couldn't answer that. I don't know why Evan did. I think Cody left for a more professional job. But it varies per person. Some people, like, just get tired of, there is drama. We're gays. There's drama. Some people get tired of that. Others age out. The looks fade.
Right.
Maybe they start gaining a lot of weight and aren't able to lose it. I honestly don't know, but there's a lot of things that can go into it. I have learned that.
Do you have see a day yourself where you no longer do this, like when it quit, when you go, it's no longer fun, or is that your plan? Or
It's either going to be that it's no longer fun, or I'm going to focus more on my school, or I'm going to be graduating and going into my profession.
do you want to tell people what your profession is, or is that?
Sure. I mean, I'm a smarty, which people never correlate with porn. They typically think, oh, you're doing porn, you're a fucking idiot. I'm going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. I have a 4.0 GPA, and I go to a very nice college. So,
well, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, is because I do think people have a misconception, especially of porn stars. They see them as one-dimensional people. It's like all you are sex-starved people who want to have sex all the time, and that's all it's on your mind, because that's the image that the movies put out there for us.
I mean, I'm not going to say sex isn't always on my mind, because it pretty much is. That's not a lie. But the stupid preconceived notation that porn stars are idiots. We're not. We're pretty smart. There's a lot of people we're smarter than, because think about it. We have to create ourselves. We have to create a brand for ourselves. We have to market ourselves and, like, build ourselves up so we make more money.
Right.
And so we're business people. We're business savvy, and we know what we're doing.
Right. If you're going to last in this business, I believe that you have to be aware of that, because you have to know that that
you have to know what you say. We're in a high cancel culture right now, especially in this day and age. You say the wrong thing, you lose your career. Look at Ben Masters. Sorry, Ben, love you, but honey, you said some fucked up shit.
Did he? I don't even know who he is. So he's not,
he worked for Helix and he worked for Cocky Boys. He said something stupid. I'm not going to repeat what he said, because I don't want to get into that, but lost it because of it.
Right. Was he a twink?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ben is so tweaky. He's adorable. Well, he's kind of twunkish in a way. But, like, I mean, I love him to death. He's a super sweetheart the majority of the time. But he put his foot in his mouth and said the wrong thing. And I wholeheartedly disagree with what he said. But it cost him pretty much his career.
Well, I think that's something that people need to be aware of. Is, look, we all have the right to say what we want to say, but there are consequences, and especially if you work for someone.
Extremely consequences. Like, you have to realize that you are an ambassador for a brand. Right.
Exactly.
You are an extension of that company. Like, I have my porn job and I have my regular job. in both cases, I am an extension of whoever I work for. So if I say something racist or homophobic or xenophobic or anything completely fucked up, not only am I trashing myself and like how people are going to view me, how they view the company I work for.
Right. And that's why the company has the right to fire you if they deem so, like what you said was offensive enough.
Like, say I work for a conservative company and they follow my Facebook or something, and I decide to cuss someone out or say something inappropriate or talk about a sex life or God knows what, and they see that, like HR sees it, they can fire me over it because I'm a reflection of them.
It's funny because this is what I've noticed is that in people who tend to lean left and be on the liberal side, which I am,
Same.
we what happens though is that we've got these extreme people on the extreme left who sit there and go, okay, well, we should be able to cancel you because of what you said. However, if if a lesbian or a gay man works for, let's say, a Catholic school, and they find in the Catholic school or finds out that they're gay or lesbian because they put it out on their Facebook, and then they fire them, they call them homophobic, and it's like, well, wait a second, because
it's kind of hypocritical.
Right, you're representing that church that believes that being gay is wrong. Now, whether we agree with it or not, that's not the point. The point is they have the right to believe the way they want, and I may not agree with them, but then I wouldn't work for them either. So it is hypocritical that we'll call out those who say things against things that we believe in, but but we can say things against other people's beliefs, and
when I see that, I think it has to do with the oppression we faced as an LGBT community. Like I get hate for being bi, which is why I just say I'm gay. I mean, yes, I'm more into men, but I still am attracted to some women. I'm just very picky on who it is. Right. And I don't, this is actually the first time I've actually spoken about this in a public forum. But I am bisexual, and it does, in the gay community, it gets a lot of hate, like a lot of hate for it. And it's like, no, you need to choose a side. And it's like, I'm not choosing a side. I'm in the middle. Like, you're going to deal with it. Well, I mean, I'm not in the middle. Like, there are some true bisexual people who are like, either way, I will never date or marry a woman, but I'll have a one-night stand.
Right. Well, and don't you find that sort of oppressive when from these groups that are supposed to be so open-minded that
you should see the women that get attacked for being fangirls on shows that they deem as gay. I have a very close friend of mine from New York who got, was it her or was it her friend? I don't remember the exact circumstances, but they were fans of Schitt's Creek. I'm sure you've heard of it.
I love that.
I love it. You, David, is one of my favorite things. But they were attacked for commenting on a Twitter post or making a Twitter post, and then also for Shameless. Because they commented on the relationship, the gay relationship in Shameless. I've watched like a couple episodes. I haven't seen it all yet. It's on my list, though.
It's a good show.
It's on my list. I have heard this from everybody. But they got attacked for sexualizing, and I'm putting air quotes around that, people. You probably can't see this, but I'm putting it around it.
It'll be on YouTube.
Sexualizing it. Oh, okay. Then perfect.
Oh, yeah.
They were sexualizing the relationship, and that's not the case. They were not sexualizing it. They were commenting on it.
Right.
They were essentially fangirling a little bit. Which, that's fine. It's a fucking TV show. Calm your dicks, guys. Let's be. Everybody has the right to their shit.
Right.
Everybody. We don't have to agree with it, but you don't have to be an asshole.
No, some people do. That's just who they are, and that's the thing. It's like they're offended. They look to be offended, and it's like, really, are you that angry at the world that you need to express every little thought in your head? Like, even there's times where I'm angry about something and I go, but I don't need to tell anybody. I just
don't be in a car with me when I'm driving them. There are some of my friends who can tell you I am the worst. Like, I'm also an asshole. Like, you can ask a lot of my friends. I'm the nicest one until he comes out. And then when the asshole comes out,
right,
you would never recognize me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But I was going to say, it's hard to believe, because having talked to you before the show and everything, and having set this all up, I was like, he really is as nice as he comes across you know, and I know this is going to sound silly because you're watching porn, but when I go, he just seems like such a nice guy. And one of the things when you were talking about branding is I go, there's something about you and Kyler Moss and Austin Locke and a couple others is that y- whether you could be hating everything you're doing, and I bought in 100% that you love everything you're doing, and there's something to be said about that when you watch people who enjoy what they're doing.
Okay, so I have had instances, and there is only one person who has ever been able to tell when I wasn't actually enjoying it, and it's actually a very good friend of mine from back home. Um, but I'm very good at covering if I'm not enjoying it.
Yes,
Because I mean, you're not going to enjoy every second of sex. It's not all daisies. Like there's some times where like there's that one position where it's like it's not hitting it right. It hurts a little bit, but no one wants to see someone in full. Well, I mean, actually, that's a lie. There are people that like seeing pain,
yeah.
but when it's a vanilla porn, there's no BDSM. There's no like spanking, painfulness, and you're trying to get your rocks off. You don't want to see the person looking like they're uncomfortable and in pain. You have to be able to like display something different. And luckily I'd learned to do that prior because I was not a virgin going into it. I actually lost mine when I was 14.
Wow.
Sorry, Mom. but um but yeah, no, so I learned to because I had a guy like one of my first times, and like it was at the time the biggest dick I'd ever taken. And it hurt. And he kept asking, "Are you okay?" Because I wasn't, because all I could feel was like pain at the time. I hadn't gotten to that pleasure point yet. And I'm like, "No, I'm good. What are you talking about?" Like trying to make him feel better. Cause like, I don't even know why, but I was like, "No, everything's great. This is completely fine. I'm just in a lot of pain, not saying that part." And I learned fast how to cover my face essentially to make it look like I'm having a great time. But one, because like you don't want to be the top or like the top fucking the bottom or the bottom. Like you want it to be like a really nice experience.
Right.
Especially in porn because there's the stress of the cameras, there's the stress of the lights, the stress of the positions. You want the rest of it to be easy flowing, which I can save out at least 98, I would assume. Like percent of my scenes have been like so smooth. There have been the long days, and there have been like it was done in an hour and a half, and I was like, well, it's time for lunch. Other times it's we start at like 9 and we finish at like 5.
So let me ask you this: how do you keep excited when you having these scenes where you know the cameras have to be at a certain angle, the lighting like they have to, you have to stop and start. Like how
I
do you?
may get in trouble for answering this one. I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask you: are there certain
We
enhanced?
get breaks. Well,
Oh,
we have enhancements. Like certain people take certain things, like especially some big dick people, because it's hard to keep that much blood flowing in there and not like pass out. Um, where there are certain things you take um to help with it. Like I have definitely may have taken a Viagra before or a Cialis. It's not forced. They don't make you take anything. But you can. It's not against the rules. But there's also a lot of breaks. So like if I start losing my boner or the top starts losing their boner because we've been fucking for like 2.5 hours, we take a break. We get some water. We well, I'd say eat, but I don't ever eat when I'm on set because bottom, I have not had a shitty kitty in a minute and I'm not about to. So
I've never heard it called that.
I actually learned that from a friend of mine in San Antonio. I don't remember the conversation, but somebody had like a kitty is for a girl because you call the pussy a kitty.
Right.
But he called it a shitty kitty because it rhymed, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking use that the rest of my life. And I can say that I find it to be the most funny way of taking that kind of embarrassing situation because let's be honest, as a gay person, we know it happens. It's natural. That doesn't take the embarrassment away from it. It's still going to be an embarrassing encounter.
Right.
Because no one wants to have an accident while having sex. No one wants that.
Right. Exactly.
It just happens. So I typically, when I'm on a set, I don't eat from like 7 to 8 until I finish the scene the next day, no matter what time it is. I may be starving. I may be like wanting to eat a fucking horse by the end of it. Like, man, I'm like Emily in The Devil Wears Prada, where I'm like, eat a cube of cheese and I'm good for the day.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I do. And then I like do my pre-session procedures, cleaning out and everything. And then I'll take some Imodium, and then I'm good to go. My dog was crying.
Is he okay?
Why are you crying? You're good. I just took you out. You're fine.
He wants
You just want attention.
Exactly.
This is my dog. This is Rhett.
Rhett.
Yeah.
Beagle?
He is. He's my beagle. My little man. He's a little over a year.
I actually dated a porn star, and he had a beagle, and it chewed everything up. So,
God damn. So I guess that must be in them, because he eats the wall. He ate the wall. He ate a part of the wall. I had to patch it up. Thank God I grew up fixing apart. Like, my family owns an apartment complex. So I was able to, like, I learned how to patch walls. I learned how to do plumbing. I learned how to do electrical stuff. So at least I knew how to fix it.
Right. Well, that's good. Speaking of your family, so obviously your family knows what you do.
They do.
And how's everybody? I mean, how did they take it, I guess?
My mom was pissed.
I could see.
At the beginning, it came as an initial shock. My cousin actually watched my first scene because introducing Grayson Lange, and she just thought it was going to be an interview. And I'm like, you're on a gay porn site. Do you really think it's just going to be an interview? And she's like, I didn't know. And I'm like, but you did. Well, sorry. I'm so sorry, cousin. I won't name the name. But recently, within the past couple of years, has transitioned into a man. So I need to start saying he. It is not the easiest. And I can actually now understand a little bit more about it, because like we've had long conversations about like, how long have you felt this way? Why did you never feel comfortable? And then like I could understood like a little bit sooner about like the comfortabilityness of it, because our family, while they are very accepting and very loving of the fact that like we can be gay, we can be ourselves, the trans part threw them because it was the first in our family. And so I can understand, like, and especially her parents are a lot more conservative than mine. Like his, at the time it was her, now it is his, a lot more conservative, a lot, like very Southern Baptist, very stuck in their ways.
Yeah, you don't get much more conservative than that.
No, you don't. They don't even dance. So
exactly.
But no, he watched it. And as soon as I started sucking Andy Taylor's dick, screamed, apparently threw his phone across the room into a wall and broke it.
Oh, no.
But no, my family actually, they came around because they realized, hey, he's paying for his bills. He's paying for his school. He's using it to launch himself into a better place. Like for a while, it was how I afforded my car. It was how I afforded my apartment. It was how I afforded my lifestyle. And I mean, no, it was never my main. Well, actually, in the very beginning, it was my main source of income until I got another job. But it shouldn't, until you hit a certain point when you're first starting, it should not be your main source of income. And that goes out to the people wanting to do porn. Do not think this is going to be like get rich quick. It's not. You have to build your brand, build your name, and become somebody before you start making thousands of dollars. Like you don't start off with that.
Right.
You have to build it.
That's good advice. I think that, they need to hear that, because I think too often that's exactly, they hear.
Oh, that's what I thought.
You always hear like, oh yeah, you could make $5,000 or, in an hour or something.
I mean, shit, there are some that you can, like if you're a cam person and you're hot as fuck and you have those tokens inflowing, yeah, you can make bank. I know quite a few. Shout out to Colby and Mickey who can do that, but not me. I honestly don't really. I'm not. I feel I get more nervous on a cam chat than I do on a site, on a porn set, really? Because like you have to interact more. It's live. Like you don't get a second chance. You don't get takes. You don't get breaks. like you are interacting with them, and you have to you have to have a completely a more business mindset. Yeah, and that is completely having your own business essentially.
Yeah, but you're very personable. I can't imagine that and not only that, remember we were talking before the show. People
mm-hmm,
love what's raw and organic, and you're very real.
mm-hmm.
And I think they would love seeing someone like you on there.
Maybe, and I mean, it could be in the cards one day for me to start that up. But I've done it. I've done shows with Colby and Mickey. I've done it with a cam house that I worked for before. That didn't last very long. I think it was 3 months when I lived in San Diego. And I was also doing studio work at the time, but it wasn't easy. It's not an easy thing. I mean, once you have a good conversation, I just feel more comfortable when I have someone else to talk to with it.
Right.
Because it gets for me, it gets a little weird because I'm trying to it's like having 18 conversations at one time, because you're answering one person and talking to another one, you're doing this and doing that, trying to stick with your goal, trying to keep it up. And then it comes to the cum shot, and I am a very visual person. I can't just be stroking and whoop, there it is. No, I'm a visual person, and so it's hard to pay attention to what's going on in the cam, and also pay attention to getting off at the same time. At the end of the show when you're coming, it's difficult for me. But when I have someone else there, I just look at their dick, or I have it in my mouth, and I'm like, whoop, here we go.
God, you said so many things that made me so many questions pop in my head. But let me ask you this question real quick before I forget. What kind of what kind of guys do you see coming into porn? Are they mostly are they guys who've always wanted to do porn? Are they somebody who needs to make money? Are they
I don't. I've never actually been the one to ask, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do porn? I've never actually asked anybody that. There are definitely the guys that are looking for a quick buck, because I had a person actually DM me the other day asking hey, do you think I could do porn because I need to make this much money? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you feel comfortable doing that? What do you, where do you want me? How do you want me to answer this question? There's a lot of times I get that of they ask me a question. I'm like, why do you think I'm gonna know the right answer to this? It's not like I know this person. It's just a random person.
Right. All right. So would you say, because I remember you saying when I talked to you initially on the phone, you said, yeah, that there was even a guy who was a virgin, he lost.
Yes. Oh, I remember that. That was, I don't think I'm the one that took it, but I know he came to set. He was a virgin. He lost his virginity in his first scene.
That's truly unbelievable.
To each their own. I personally would not have wanted to lose my virginity on a camera myself, because I feel your virginity, that's something you're gonna think back to for the rest of your life.
Well,
and honestly, it's not always the best experience. And I know for a fact I do not want my first time being put onto a camera.
I guess he'll always have record of it. So
yeah, well, that's one way to show your grandkids one day.
Right. All right. So let me ask you this. What would you say was your best experience on set?
Oh God. There's a couple. There's a couple. The first time I was able to go into the Pacific Ocean at Helix. My first time in the Palm Springs desert for Next Door. And my first time in actual New York winter snow for Cocky Boys. Those are all, and we had it on camera. I believe it's for the one with Ethan Slade, because I think it was my very first scene I ever filmed with them. I'm pretty sure that one was, Ethan Slade and me. Amazing guy from New Orleans. Love him to death. He is a fellow circuit queen. I'm kind of getting out of that, but at the same time, I'm not. But he does these amazing costumes and these amazing looks. And I never knew that about him until I ran into him at a party. but no, we filmed, and it was my first time being able to build a snowman, and we gave the snowman a penis, and it was fantastic. I don't remember what we named it though. We named it something cute, and it was hilarious.
Was that the first time you've ever seen snow?
No, it wasn't like my first time I'd ever seen snow, but
First time you got to play in it?
but yeah, like first time it was actually like enough to be able to build a snowball or be able to do snow angels. Yeah, think my roommate was like figured out what I was trying to say.
That's all right. I do that all the time, and I know that people are sitting there going, "He's an idiot," because he can't remember simple words. Like the other day, it was the word defend. I couldn't, for whatever reason, it would not pop in.
There's those times like you just have that brain fart. Like you're trying to like think of everything that had happened during that moment, and it's not clicking right.
Right. I don't know what it is.
Especially when like I'm not around snow so that often. So like I'm not normally thinking of snow angels or skiing or sledding or those things that happen.
So all right, so those were your best experiences. Do you have a worst experience that you can speak of?
I don't want to talk about that one because I've talked about it before, and I do not approve of this site. I don't want to give it any clout or anybody to hear about it because it is something so degrading, so disgusting, and honestly, I hope it gets shut down.
Okay. Yeah,
like it is the worst one I've ever done. It was the one thing that I was lied to about. I'd never been lied to before going into doing a set. And I mean, technically they were honest, but they used what other sites they had to feed off of. They were not specific enough for it. And they should have, when it came to that much of a serious matter, it's not something you should be trying to film a fetish around. It's something that should be like, you don't want to talk about that. That's like the black sheep of the family that gets left in the corner and put in the closet, like Harry Potter did in the beginning, before it got good.
Right.
Like it's not something that it's a huge part of the gay community that it's bad. It's just bad. And something if I had been told ahead of time, I would have said no. Not just no. I would have said hell no.
Right. So yeah. But that's not normally your experience as far as dealing.
No, not at all. Like I honestly, my porn experience, I have my family essentially. Like I've made friends that will last a lifetime, and that was just not the case. I did make some friends there while I was there. But I did not enjoy that. If I could go back and stop it, I would, but unfortunately got to live with what you do.
Yeah, but it's, look, everybody, and I do mean everybody, makes mistakes, and and does things that they wish they hadn't, and or were fooled into doing something that they wish they hadn't been fooled into. But that's part of
it's life. Yeah, it's part of it. It happens. It's fucked up, but it happens.
It does. Well,
but I mean, I typically try to like not look at anything with any type of regret, just because like it makes you into the person you are today. Everything that you've done, every experience you've had, everything that you do makes you into who you are today.
Exactly.
And you just need to hope that it is something good.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I feel like when you have that kind of mentality and that outlook on it, you get a happier, better life.
Right. Well, it makes you stronger instead of a victim. If you sit there and feel like everything's done to you, and that and that's what you go through life as. And I've seen that a lot, not just in the gay community, just in our society as a whole. So that's not something that
Sorry, she was asking for she asked if she could borrow my car, and I'm like, yeah, of course, my keys are upstairs in my jeans. Like, try not to say that, and then like she's like, they're not there, and I'm like, I have no idea right now.
You can find
that's the last place I had them, and that was I felt them this morning. So I'm like, I don't know off the top of my head right now.
Do you have a favorite model that you enjoy working with?
I have honestly, all the people I've worked with have always been amazing people. Like, I couldn't put them into a favorite category.
Okay.
Just because, like, I mean, you can make an amazing connection and a bond. You're sleeping with the person. There's always going to be a little bit more, but like I would say, like Troy Ryan, he's a friend of mine. Like, we're trying to like figure out a time to go visit, but we just have such busy schedules, we never really get the chance to. Ryan Rose is another friend of mine out in Houston that I met through some other friends. Well, I say more of an acquaintance actually. Like, I wouldn't say we're like close or anything, but we are friends, kind of. Logan Cross is one of my like closest friends. Like, I talk to him quite a bit. Yeah, no, you like have these friendships that you make, and sometimes they'll fizzle out, sometimes they'll fade out, but at the end of the day, like, if you see each other, you're gonna be right there for each other. Like when Kyle comes to Dallas, Kyle, what is his last name? Ross. Fuck. I had to think about that because it's been a long time since I've actually like had to say his last name. And for the people that like don't watch Helix or like are gonna look it up or whatever, he's from Dallas as well, and so that's where I live. I live in Dallas. And he comes to town and visits his family and goes out, whatever. And like when he's been here, like we've hung out, we went clubbing. I'm pretty sure last time he was here, we all went out to this one bar in Oakland, which is a gay part of Dallas, and we had a great time. Like when you have like these places you go to visit, you see who's going to be there, you see who's still there, and you hang out with them.
So when you meet these friends, the friends that you meet on set and that you've had sex with, whenever you meet them out as friends, do you like ever go, "Hey, you're hot, I'm hot, let's have sex"?
Not yet. I mean, there have been some flirtations at times that didn't just like never come through. And then you like sometimes you make plans, but you just like there's not enough time. Like you have so much you're doing when you're visiting a place that you don't have the time to fuck real quick.
Right.
But no, I've definitely actually that goes into a fun story of how I ended up sleeping with my ex's brother and his husband.
You tell.
So I was in a city.
Is that why he's your ex?
Huh?
Is that why he's your ex?
No. We had broken up like years prior. I went out with some friends in a city, and she introduced me to this couple, and they were like super attractive. And we just talked like a couple of times throughout the night. And then at the end of the night, I was like feeling in that mood. I was feeling myself. I was horny as fuck. And I was like, hey, what y'all doing later? And then like both of them, this was the first time I've ever been taken home from the bar. And that was the first person they've ever taken home from the bar. And I ended up being their first DP. And afterwards, like we were talking and they like asked me what I did. And I told them like I do porn and I've done this. And they're like, oh, we've never done that, but my brother has. I'm like, oh, from where's your brother? And they told me the city, and I was like, oh my god, I probably know him. I might be the person. And then they say the name, and I'm like, my mouth drops, and I'm like, no. And they're like, what? And I'm like, that's my ex. And they're like, and their mouth dropped, and we're all just like, oh, fuck.
It's a small world.
Apparently, that put some new meaning to keeping it in the family a little bit.
It does.
But I mean, it was a hookup. I wasn't expecting to find out it was my ex's brother. Like, I'm in a random city. I knew he had mentioned that they lived there, but it was like 3 or 4 years later. Like, I'm not gonna remember every fucking detail that dude said to me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, actually, he still doesn't. I don't remember I don't even know if he knows about it. I never told him because I was like, nope, that could be could be some drama that I don't want to start stirring that pot on. So,
well, hopefully,
which is also why I did not name any names because I'm like, whoops.
No, not you. Another ex.
But I mean, no, it was a fun experience. Like, I remember. Actually, no, I don't remember who was my first DP, but I ended up finding out I loved being, I had my first DP in Houston with two of my friends who are now married. Great guys. And then that's when I discovered, oh, this feels fucking amazing. And that's how I learned to love DPs.
Well, then you just answered one of my other questions, which is because you're very convincing top. And I already knew, I was like, I know the answer.
Oh, I'm completely versed. completely reverse. Like
Right.
I love topping and I love bottoming.
Well, because you look like when you're topping, you look like you completely like enjoy.
I'm a different person. I am a different person when I'm topping. When I'm topping, I become very dominating.
That's what a top should do.
But when I'm bottoming, I'm very submissive. Well, kind of submissive. I'm half submissive. Like I like to be in control a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to like fuck me daddy. Like choke me, kind of choke me. Like put my hands behind me, like take control. That's hot. That is hot to me. But at the same time, there are times where I'm bottoming, but I'm like, you're not controlling this well enough, so I'm taking control. And I'm gonna climb on top. And then I take things that I learned from my favorite podcast, which is Call Her Daddy. And like she taught me a position where you're on top and you put your hand on their chest and you put you're like have one leg down and you have your other one up. And like when you start rocking back on it, drives them insane. And it has worked on every single guy I've done it on. Which I mean, that sounds really bad. But I mean, I'm a porn star, so I've slept with a lot of people.
What's the name of this podcast?
Call Her Daddy.
Her Daddy.
Call Her Daddy. It is amazing. It taught me a blowjob technique that I have used called the Gluck Gluck.
A Gluck?
And it's the Gluck Gluck. Right. I love the name. I laughed when I heard it because I mean, who's gonna think about calling a blowjob thing the Gluck Gluck? And then she's amazing. Like she teaches you how to she's very empowering in a way because like there's a lot of things where like a body count, which is like how many people you slept with, is a negative, but she takes and she's like, fuck that. Like, I'm going to do me. I'm going to be who the fuck I am. And if you have a problem with it, get the fuck out.
Right.
Which has to do with one of my next tattoos, which is going to be, frankly, my dear, I just don't give a damn. Because honestly, I don't give a fuck what you have to think about me, what you have to say about me. Do you pay my bills? Are you fucking me? The 3 Fs. Like, you ain't doing none of those? Oh, okay, then mind your business. Leave me alone.
You know, and we'd all be, and that's one of the things I think that many people in the gay community could learn from you is that when you get that attitude where you're like, fuck you people, like, I don't give a damn. You're not paying my bills. You're not my close friends. You're not my family. So what, why should I care what you think or what you have?
Fuck what it's not even that. Just fuck what your family has to say. Your family, they want to look out for you. That's great.
Right.
But if they're judging you, that's not being family. That's being an asshole.
That's true. And and one of the things when I have clients who come to me and they'll ask me, about what it was like for me when I came out. And I go, look, because some of them are still not out and it's unfortunate, but I didn't come out till much later in life. But when I did, I knew that there was a good possibility I may lose some family members or friends or whatever. And I thought to myself, if I do, it's because they don't love me. They love an image of me. And I don't want half-ass love. So I'm not losing much if I lose them, and I just, like you said.
That's a very good outlook to have because it's very true.
Yeah.
Because there's people that I've worked with in porn who have been there and left because their family was going to disown them. And I'm like, I understand where where you're scared of that, but at the same time, if they're going to disown you over this, what else are they going to disown you on?
Right, exactly. It's like you have to march in line with them in order for them to give you love, and it's like, I'm sorry, that's not. Especially when it's easier for me because I was older, and then if I was younger, nowadays it's gotten a lot easier, but there's still, especially in the Midwest, there's a lot of these conservative families out there who kick their kids out. My very best friend, his mother kicked him out of the house. And fortunately, his stepfather, of all people, brought him back and was, and was more understanding than his own mother, and which blew my mind. But that kind of stuff still goes on to this day where these kids, have to deal with this. And I don't think that's something that a lot of straight people understand.
They don't because they don't go through it.
Right.
That's the whole thing. If you're not going through it and you haven't been through it, you don't understand it unless you're in that community and you see it happen to your friends, to people you meet, you find out about it. But if you don't have those, you have no idea and you don't care essentially. because you don't know about it. You're not educated on it. You don't hear about it because it's essentially people live in a bubble until that bubble gets popped. And there's like different layers of the bubble that have to deal with different sociological issues. And it's fucked to say it, but it's true. Like, we all have these mindsets that, oh, the world is a great place until, oop, that's fucked up. Oop, that's another issue. Oh, there's people that hate gays for being who the fuck they are.
Well, I think it's something that you hit on. It's like they don't understand because it's not part of their perspective. And that's and I'm going to tell you right now, again, I say this almost every episode. That is what my podcast is about getting people to look at things from different perspectives. I want them to see you for the person you are and not just some porn star that they jerk off to when they're watching you, but to realize that
I could mention that a lot.
Exactly.
I could tell you, I have lost count from when I was 18 when I first started. I am now 24. The amount of people that send me unsolicited dick pics, assuming that I'm just going to be like, oh my God, give me your penis now. It is beautiful. No, motherfucker, I don't want to see your dick. Did I ask to see your dick? I have people assuming that because I do porn, oh, I am their sex toy. I am obligated to fuck them. And I'm like, no. I'm sorry. You don't realize that is a job. It is my job to do this. I am not fucking these people for fun. I'm fucking them because I'm getting paid to. Are you about to pay my scene rate? Oh, you got offended that I asked that? Oh, I'm sorry. I got offended by you asking me to fuck you because of my job.
Right. So that's another question. So when you're out, at the bars or the clubs, wherever you're at, I mean, obviously you get recognized, and I'm sure people
have
you. How do they treat you normally? I mean, what's the kind of response that you get from people who know you?
99% of the time, very respectful. They ask me, "Aren't you Grayson?" And I go, "Yes, of course." And then they ask, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I'm like, "Of course you can." Other times, there have been a little more than 2 instances of being at the urinal, grabbed by my dick and tried to drag somewhere, cornered in a bathroom. Why is it always the bathroom? Like, I've gotten to the point where, like, I'd rather pee outside than go to the bathroom in the club and just pay the cover back. Like, I don't even care. But no, like, they get very aggressive with it sometimes. And I'm like, no, I'm not interested. No, thank you. No, I'm not here for that tonight. Sorry. And they just don't care.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, it's very nice. They want me to autograph something. There was one guy who wanted me to sign something. I still to this day have no idea because he was in underwear, and I do not know because they were very tight and there was no Sharpie outline. So I still don't know where he pulled that Sharpie out of, but I signed his underwear. If you're listening to this, you know who you are. But no, it's been it's typically a great experience. Like, I've been to Pride festivals and parties and things and been recognized. They'll ask for a picture, they'll ask for an autograph, but it's not I can't say never. It's not always sexually hyped. So it's a good thing. I've definitely learned to love that part of it. But sometimes it does get a little annoying. Because, like, when you're going out with friends and you're just trying to have a good time for the night, and someone comes up to you and you're not, say, like, you got into a fight with, like, your boyfriend, which I had quite a few before. And there was one night, this guy came up to me and I was like, on my head, I'm like, fuck, I really don't want to deal with this right now. But of course, because I am the nice person I am, was like, of course you can. Yeah, let's just take that picture real quick. It's like, I mean, it's not every day you see someone that you, like, jacked off to. So, like, oh, you want a picture with them? Cool.
And that's I think it's just what's the word I'm looking for? Not unusual. It's just a circumstance they put you in. And here's the thing: if like you just had a fight with your boyfriend, you're probably not in the mood to sign autographs.
No.
If you don't, the first thing they're going to go, oh yeah, you know that Grayson Lange, he's such a bitch. All I wanted was his autograph. Yeah, and that tarnishes your brand because, again, they don't think of you as a
human.
Right? Is that you have good days and bad days, and you have challenges that you have to deal with and relationships and things of that nature, and they just think you're always supposed to be on and all about them, and that's what would drive me crazy if I were in your position.
But that's with everything, though. Like, honestly, if you're a celebrity or if you're anybody in a position of fame in any capacity, whether it's adult, whether it's movies, whether it's music, whether it's anything that you become a somewhat of a public figure, you're going to have the people that recognize you. You're going to have the people that want that. And you're no longer, when you come into this business, when you come into anything of that kind of capacity, you sign away the right to be human, kind of. Because people don't look at you as a human being, they look at you as a symbol.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you may come back and realize, oh, they are human. They may have been going through something, but not everybody's going to have that mentality and that attitude. So they are going to look at you and think, oh, I remember that person. He was a douchebag.
Right. And that's unfortunate that's what I was looking for. Unfortunate, and not unusual. Unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that happens. And yet, there's another level to it with being a porn star, because if you meet someone who's famous, who's an actor, you don't go act for me, but because you're a porn star, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we should have sex.
Suck my dick.
Right, exactly.
Fuck me. Let me fuck you. And then you have the people that try to use you for clout of being able to say, I fucked a porn star. Hi, my ex that I just broke up with last week.
Oh, really?
It's the way that it came across. A lot of it was he kept trying to, he even like on the third day after he asked me to be his boyfriend, I said, you guys, was like, hey, you want to have a threesome? And I'm like, we've been together 3 days. You should probably calm your tits, man. Like, no, we're not there yet. If you're asking me for a threesome now, what are you gonna ask for next? A fucking orgy? Do you wanna just like have like all my friends come over and it's all fuck? No, I'm not doing this.
Wow.
It didn't. That relationship did not last long at all.
I can understand why. The only reason I brought up the fact that I dated a porn star is because he had a beagle. But I didn't tell anybody he was a porn star, and I wouldn't want anyone to know. Not that I'm embarrassed by it, but because I don't.
It's that person's private business. You want them to be able to say it, not you.
Exactly. If someone recognizes him, that's fine. But it's not for me to sit there and show him off as though he's some sort of piece of candy and go, look what I got. That's kind of.
It's a candy. Love that.
Speaking of candy, one of my favorite scenes is with you and Alan Davis.
Oh, I love Alan. I just saw him last year, actually. This year. Last year, at the end of last year.
Okay, so I wanted, I told you I had like 3 guys I wanted to have on the show. You were one of them. I actually would have had 4. I would have had Alan, and because there's something about him and the two of you, I just like, holy crap, this is like one of the hottest scenes ever. But
that's because me and Alan have like real chemistry. Like, and we kind of like when we hung out, we ended up like making out half the time. It was just such a random, because I flew into Chicago for to see a friend, and then I was on my way to, it was the day I was leaving. No, the night before I was leaving, and he messaged me on Grindr. Which, yes, I have a Grindr for the people that always think I'm fake, and yes, I have a Tinder too. I'm not catfishing people. Hope you listen to this and don't cuss me out again. Happens quite a bit. I actually got banned for a little bit on Grindr because of it, and had to like be like, no, I'm just using my porn name for safety reasons. This is me. This is my ID. See, the picture's all real. Thank you. And they reinstated me. Thank you, Grindr. But no, so he messaged me, and the next day, like we're gonna hang out. I was like, we'll hang out before I leave, because like your house is close to the airport. Like, I'm flying out of O'Hare anyway. You're like 5 minutes from it, so like it works out. I have like a long like time between my friends going to work, and I have no way to lock up his house, and when I'm flying out. So like, why don't we hang out then? He's like, yeah. So we hang out and we go get Taco Bell, and we just end up like watching Rick and Morty and making out, because that's what we do, right?
So, all right. So let me say a couple things. So, one, I know you're not really into twinks, and yet Alan Davis is definitely a twink. And there's something about him. It's the way he carries himself that I just go, this kid is so freaking hot because of the way he carries himself.
I guess I shouldn't say I'm not completely not into twinks. Because there have been a few exceptions, but they're very few.
Right.
Like they're like I can count on one hand the few.
Well,
but Alan definitely is one of them, and that's because like I'm not really like. I mean, yes, I have my like little. Everybody has their little things that they're more attracted to, but for me, oh god, did I lose it? Nope, there we go. So I was trying to like swipe away a notification because I'm on my phone right now, and I accidentally hit the thing, and so it went to where it was going. I think it was my email. I don't even know. But no, when it comes to Alan, I'm more into like I'm a very chemical person. Like the chemistry, very like the energy, the vibe, how we connect. And Alan is one of the few like I connected with on like a nice, good level. But I mean, we all have our what we're attracted to physical wise, like appearances.
Right.
Like I am head over heels for like you got your abs, you got some pecs. Hello, daddy. Hello, I'm down for it. I actually hate though. Like I hate the daddy thing though. I do not like. I had a person call me daddy, and I'm like, I am. But this was when I was like 23, 22, and I was like, I am this young. I am not a fucking daddy. Shut your mouth. No.
Listen, I have guys who are older than me who've called me daddy, and I'm going, wait a minute, I don't think this is how that works.
I've had that too, and I'm just like, wouldn't you be the daddy in this situation?
So with the three guys that I mentioned, you being one of them, there was a fourth, and Alan Davis was the other one who I wanted to reach out to, and I'd love to have on the show. The only reason I didn't reach out to him is because I saw there was some thread. I don't really remember where I saw it, but someone asked him about, would you consider escorting? And he said something to the effect, yeah, why don't you come over here so I can stab you in the chest or something? I was like, holy crap.
That is very much Alan. I can't vouch if he was serious or if he was joking. I'm gonna assume he wasn't serious, but at the same time, I love him, but he is crazy enough to like possibly pull something.
Yeah.
He considers that being gangsta, and I'm like, honey, baby.
Yeah, but that's what is hot is that he like has this little bad boy thing.
Oh no, he is a bad boy. I can vouch for that. He is a bad boy, but in like the hot way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the TV movie bad boy, like, ooh, you're attracted to him.
Yep.
He very much is that. He's like the twink bad boy, which is very rare. Normally it's like a jockey, muscle, all-American bad boy. And well, not all-American, but like the kind of like that kind of look, but without like the clothes.
Right. And I kind of get the sense that unlike you, Alan's probably more into twinks than not.
I can't say. I don't really know. I don't know anyone he's ever dated. I don't really know about his love life or what he's really into. But I mean, going off of like our chemistry, I would say so.
Yeah, I would think so. There's just something about the movies I've seen him in, and he seems to be very much into twinks. And I don't think I've ever seen him do anything other than movies with twinks. So, but
I mean, he only worked for the one studio.
Oh, okay. And is he still doing it as well?
No, as far as I know, he has retired as well. I don't remember why. I think he was going to school. Then I honestly don't know. I feel like he told me, but like it was a while ago, so I don't recall. Well, it was like one time. It was never repeated again. He never like bitched or complained or like it wasn't anything like super fucked up. So like I typically forget it just because like.
Right.
There's so much more important things that happen in the world that I'm like, oh, you left because of something like that? Okay, bye.
Gotcha.
It's not like you were like raped by a producer or had something like horrific. They forced you to do something you didn't want to do. Which is another thing I wanted to talk about with porn. Like you do have control over who you film with. And so there's a lot of questions about that. I've got a lot of questions like, do you get to control? Are you forced to do someone even if you don't want to do it? Are you forced to do something you don't want to do? There's never really force. You do have control. You just may be short a scene when you come home, so you won't have as much money.
Right.
But like, if you're not vibing with that person, you can't do it. Well, they're not gonna make you. They're just gonna be like, oh, well, this was a failure.
Exactly. And you probably won't be called back ever again. But
I mean, I never have like turned it down to where like I was on set and I was like, this isn't working. they try to do their best to make something out of it, like whether it be a solo or two solos or like a jack off video, like where there's two people together and they're like doing like fucking around a little bit. But like they try to make something out of it to where like there's gonna be a scene, it's not a complete scrap, and they can work with it. At least where I've gone, because they don't want to waste your time. They want to have you back, especially if they connect with you right. I have been on places where a performer was with a new performer, brand new. This was like his second scene, and made him feel like utter shit to where they're like, "You're never coming back here." And they canceled the scene, did something else with the guy, extended his stay one more day so he could film with someone else, and sent the other person home that same night. Because like he literally went off and was so unprofessional. Like, this is a brand new person. They're already nervous enough, and you're gonna like talk to them like they're absolute garbage and trash. That's not right. You don't do that. Like they're nervous, they're scared. You're a big name. You're somebody they have watched. So like, I mean, I didn't. I was, like I said, I wasn't really into Twinks when I worked for Helix. Everybody was a surprise for me. Actually, everybody but Evan Parker was a surprise for me because I had watched some of Evan's scenes. And Evan was such a hottie, is still such a hottie. Like, don't get me wrong. He lives kind of near me, just a couple hours away.
The hottest scene was because he always topped. And when he did a scene, I don't know the guy, and I don't remember the guy's name.
When he bottomed?
Yeah, when he bottomed.
Yeah.
I was like,
Evan made a great bottom. That was hot as fuck.
Yeah,
TBH.
I was like shocked, and I was like, "Damn, that boy!" He like his stardom went up to even here with me as far as.
So like a lot of times when you're doing porn and you're doing the B-roll and stuff, they very much have it like planned out, roped out, tell you what to do. When I shot with Evan, all of that was just me and him feeding off of each other. I don't know if you watched that scene. If you haven't, I highly suggest watching the B-roll for it.
I will. I didn't know there was
because it was literally like a grinder hookup, car pickup. Like, he's gonna pick me up in his car and drive me to his place. And I made we were just joking, and like it was so hard to keep like a kind of straight face with it and not like die laughing with it, because we had to take a couple of sets because when we were going off the first time, we made the directors laugh. Because like, you're not like a serial killer, you're not about to be dead. And he's like, well, I wouldn't suggest going in my basement or something. I don't remember. It was a couple of different takes of it, and we just kept feeding off of each other and like joking back and forth. And I remember there was a chains and whips comment. I think I don't remember everything. I was 18, 19, so it was quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things that I loved filming was when you have that energy you can go off of and joke, like, and it just comes naturally. It makes it seem so much better, because there's sometimes you have to like force it, fake it a little bit because like it looks a little awkward. You have to redo it, whatever. But when it just flows naturally, and like, because a lot of the time, whenever you're filming it, they'll give you like a scenario, but like whatever's said is improv, essentially, kind of like, I'm pretty sure that's right, like improvisation, like, yeah, okay. So you're just coming up with it and you're just going with it. There's been a couple times I've had a script, but the majority of it, you're just figuring it out for yourself.
So I love when you talk, like when Alan talks. What I always find kind of like just like a little chuckle is because I've watched so many of them. It's they'll say something like, I want to ride you, and and every time Alan will go, yeah.
Oh my god, I remember that too. I said that was one of our transitions, because they try to give you like, hey, come up with something to get into this position. Right. And you're like, you have to like figure it out. And you're just like, fuck, how am I going to do this? Right. So like, you're writing it, the camera's focusing on your back, and you're just like, kind of want you to fuck me doggy, maybe. But no, Alan would just feel like, oh yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, the very first time he said that, I wasn't prepared. I laughed and we had to redo it. So I had to like go back into one position, do it again for like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. I don't remember. And then do it again and like control myself. And that was another thing in pictures. My smile is always real because like when I'm looking into someone's eyes, like I'm looking into your soul essentially, I crack up laughing every time. And so like whenever they like do something sexy, do like a smooth face, and we're like having to like look serious into each other's eyes, we'd have it for like 3 seconds maximum before I'm cracking up, they're cracking up, they're cracking up, I'm cracking up. It was always the case.
That's funny.
Which was not always, I'm sure they got pretty annoyed with all of us, but like you're fucking like on top of somebody with his dick inside you, like, but you're like arched back enough to like just the head is inside, and you're like looking into his eyes trying to keep a sexy face, and it's like, no. Your mind is like, you're gonna smile now, bitch.
See, people, this is the kind of conversation you're getting to behind the look scene or scene look at what really happens on a
porn set.
Exactly.
And then you also have the times where you're like riding and you're in this one position and it's not the most comfortable because you have to get the camera angle and you get a Charlie horse.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to stand up. You're like, nope, wait, walk it off. Walk it off. Let me live for a little bit.
I have seen that so many times, and I sit there and wonder, and I always go, how are the muscles not cramping up yet?
Oh, we take breaks. That's one of the reasons why we take breaks. Is like, I'm in pain. Hello, thank you. Or like, I'll be like moaning so much, I start getting lightheaded, and then my mouth gets dry, and I'm like, hey, I need some water. Hello, excuse me.
Yes, exactly, and that's where I think where people who watch porn and think this is what sex is really like, it's like, no, you cannot sit there for 30 minutes in a position and your legs not.
Oh, you think that you want to know? Let me talk about that real quick because this is such a misconception. You think that scene only took 30 minutes to film? We were there for 4 to 5 hours. Fucking right. That scene took forever. Let me tell you right now.
What's it been like since COVID? I mean, I imagine the industry.
I mean, I haven't filmed anything. I have a shoot to go to in Europe when everything opens up again, and it'll be a 3-week shoot. I'm super excited for it. We're starting in London, I believe. But no, as far as I know, I mean, there are some that are doing it, and we've all seen the Dante Cole, "Love You, Honey," his scene that he did with that couple. Where like they're fucking each other because they're a couple, but they're doing like a Zoom Skype thing. And like that was hot. I like that. But I do believe like some people are starting to film up again, but the majority of them aren't. Where no one's really filming right now.
Yeah, well, I figured that's pretty much how it's been, and I imagine it'll start open up slowly. Are most of the studios, are they in California or like where's Helix?
Oh, they're all over. Helix was in San Diego. Now they are in Vegas.
Okay.
You have some that are in Vegas, New York, all over really.
Well, California is keeping everything shut down longer than probably the rest of the world. So I figured, if Helix was in California, that would hurt them. If
they are not in California right now. They are they moved to Vegas. I've actually been to the Helix mansion, which they have there. The Helix house, per se.
I want a Helix mansion. My whole thing was I wanted to be the gay. I wanted to have a Playboy mansion, only but with twinks. That's I wanted to be a gay.
You say that until the twinks start the drama. Because let me tell you, the twinks, I love them. I love my friends, but they good on that drama.
Yeah, they are. Trust me. That's all. And the funny thing is that's all I date are younger guys, and it's not because that's all I want to. It's what I'm attracted to. Like you said before, it's like you can't help what you're attracted to. Nope. And for good or bad, that's what I'm attracted to. And fortunately, I think it's starting. I have a great partner right now, and that he's honestly the best thing most real person I think I've ever met. And I've had some good relationships too. I've had some bad ones like everyone else, but this one just like really special. And he's a special person. So, and I mean, where he's not threatened the fact that he knows that, I find you attractive, and I said, guess who's going to be on my show? He's completely supportive of it and not sitting there going upset about it or anything like that. So he's a great guy. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I have to. It's in time for me to get ready.
All right, so if you're in agreement, I would love to do a second show with you because there's so much.
There's so much more we have to cover. We can talk about. There's so much more. I'm absolutely down to do this again.
All right, so let's do this. We're gonna make this part 1, and then
part 1. Hell yeah.
Let's set up another time off camera, and then we'll make part 2 because I'm just seriously, you're a great guest, and I mean, and you couldn't be more generous. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I've loved this. This has been fantastic.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
This is like, I mean, I go into things not expecting anything because when you have expectations, that's the only way you can have disappointment.
Right.
And so I try to not have any expectations going into anything just because I don't want to be disappointed. And so like this was like the best outcome I could ever have going into something.
Well, great. I'm glad to hear that. I do want to ask you just one more question real quick.
Absolutely.
This is my joke question that I didn't get to.
Ooh.
So
my dog is making an appearance real quick. Oh, okay. That's it. Love you too. Okay. He's asking questions. Let's go. All
right. So,
enough. I love you.
So you're single, right?
I am right now.
Okay. So then I would ask you, what is your ideal guy? And let me guess. I'm going to say he has a shaved head, a beard, older, like flannel shirts.
For those of y'all just listening, he just described himself.
Yes, I did.
Honestly, I don't have an ideal guy. I mean, I have like what I like, what I'm attracted to is like I like a muscle guy. I like a guy with muscles. But at the end of the day, those muscles are gonna fade. The one thing I always look at is the eyes. Am I gonna love his eyes? Because the eyes don't change. Especially with eyes, and then the connection and the energy that I have with them, that is what I want. Sorry, my roommate just took a picture of me making me look like I was in a manga. So, but no, I look at the energy, how we connect, how we vibe. Like my ex that I was with for almost 4 years and I was engaged to was not my type at all. Was never the kind of guy I had ever been attracted to. But yet there was that chemistry, there was that connection, and I fell in love. And so like I had never really based it off of looks. Because looks are gonna fade. What's not gonna fade are your eyes and the energy and the way you like talk to them. So I don't have a set go-to guy.
I completely understand because I've been in the same predicament, and not only that, but it doesn't matter how good looking you are. I've heard this before. It's like if you have if you're 10, look wise, but your personality is a 2,
a 4. Bye.
That's what you are. Is you're a 4. You're not a 10. You're a 4. So.
Amen.
Well, Grayson, thank you so much, and we'll get together very soon here to do part 2. And folks, if you enjoyed this, I promise you'll enjoy part 2 even more. So,
part 2, we're just gonna get raunchier. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty. Ooh,
that sounds like a plan.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining me, and folks, thanks for joining us and watching us and listening to us. And until next time, take care, be safe, and wear your mask.